Hello, welcome to Always Sides Podcast, where I, your host Malia, and co-host Benjamin will be reading and discussing Reddit stories. Our first story will be...
Am I the asshole for parking in a disabled parking space to save a fish? My son is 10, and on his birthday, a few months ago, he wanted to set up a tropical aquarium. Since then, he has been super devoted to looking after the fish, cleaning the tank, and honestly, I've loved seeing how responsible he has been. As a reward for his hard work, I decided to get him a new fish. The fish store is small, with limited parking. When I first arrived, I parked normally, went inside and purchased the fish. I got back in my car and started driving home, when I noticed that the bag the fish was in had sprung a leak somehow. It wasn't a huge hole, but it was leaking significantly. Enough that I didn't think it would last the 30-minute drive home, so I decided to turn back towards the mall. When I got back to the mall parking, I drove around a couple of times and could not find a spot anywhere. By now, the bag had lost quite a bit of water. I saw that there was an empty disabled space at the front by the entrance. I made the decision to park there quickly, run inside, get a new bag, and run back out. All in all, I was parked for 5 minutes, but when I came back, a woman who was there came up to me and accused me, saying, "You don't look very disabled. You can't park there." All I could say was, "No, but my fish was," and left. She gave me a scowl, and I drove away. Ever since then, I have felt pretty guilty about the whole thing. I spoke to a friend that said they would never park in that spot since it is only a fish, but I really felt at the time the fish would have died if I didn't park soon. And in my mind, even though it's just a fish, it's still a living creature that matters. I'd like to hear some other opinions as whether it's justified or if I'm actually the asshole. What do you think?
I feel like that's not a big thing to, care about. Like, the lady... First of all, why would the lady sit there and wait and be like, "Oh, you can't park there"? Like, you don't know who's, going to come out of there. They could be like somebody with a broken leg. Like,
Yeah.
they're disabled, not disabled, but like they are handicapped. They need it, right? That was a little petty of the other person, but you shouldn't park in a spot if you don't need to. It is actually illegal. You can get towed for that. But it was for a fish. But at the same time, it is just a fish. But it is, I don't know, because it's a living creature. Yeah, you should save it. But I think it could have lasted enough time for you to find a parking spot and then, I don't know, run to the place.
I mean, despite her not looking disabled or anything like that, it's still a fish. It's still a creature.
Yeah.
If I drove, I would do the same thing in that situation.
Mm.
Bear in mind, there'd most likely be other parking spots. But if there's just a disabled parking spot, you betcha I'm parking there, okay? Because I'm saving my little fish. But I don't think she's the asshole for parking in a disabled parking spot to save a fish.
I don't think that was like that big of an issue. I think it was more of an issue that the lady waited there for so long just to be like, "You can't park there." Like, no shit.
It's only for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, fair enough. That may, if someone's actually waiting for that car parking spot, that might be different. But 5 to 10 minutes, not that long.
Yeah, no. I think it's just weird that you would, like, I don't go around and be like, "Oh, somebody's in my handicapped spot." It's like, no, it's not just yours. There's so many people that are handicapped and that need it. So it's like, I don't know. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah. Although some of the comments are split, some people think she's the asshole, because obviously some people who are commenting, they are people with disabilities. So obviously, I understand that, they would think she's the asshole, which is fair enough. Fair enough. But, just saving a little guy, a little fish,
I feel for the people that need it, but at the same time, why are you waiting there just to be like, "You can't park there"? Like, that's not really going to stop them from doing it in the future. Anyway, our next story is, am I the asshole for requesting that my coworker politely apologize to me? I, 27 female, have a coworker in a different department who has a history of flying off the handle over minor things, often based on her own misunderstanding of a situation. But she and I had gotten along pretty well up until I became the target of it this week.
Ooh, in the crossfires.
Yeah. Without getting into too much detail, she ended up publicly berating me and calling me incompetent on an email chain where she CC'd my supervisor and a large portion of my professional network outside of the workplace, just to be petty before realizing that the thing that she was mad about was 100% her own fault and she'd just forgotten she had never actually sent me any of the tasks she thought I was ignoring. I had to have multiple meetings with my supervisors about this to clear things up. End result of which was them asking whether I wanted to do nothing, request a formal reprimand for my coworker, or request a public apology with all people present who received this email. I opted for the apology since a bunch of my colleagues and mentors had seen this whole debacle. I've seen this whole thing unfold, and I didn't want to have to explain it to them as well. This coworker has a lot of tough stuff going on in her personal life and is partially begging me not to make her look like an asshole for having a public apology. But at the end of the day, she put my professional reputation at risk, and I think it's her job to fix it regardless of what she's dealing with at home. Another concerned coworker has reached out to ask me not to make her do it because she might be at risk of getting blacklisted over this, and that would be the last straw with all of her other current personal issues. So I'm starting to feel guilty about my decision. Am I the asshole for opting to make her publicly apologize to me in view of everyone she tried to make me get in trouble with?
No.
No.
Regardless of what your personal life is,
you can't bring personal stuff.
You can't mix that with work. Okay, there needs to be a fine balance between the two, and even publicly apologizing. That's not even that bad. If anything, it shows that you're mature. You're taking responsibility for your actions. So if anything, it would actually, I personally would think it actually helps you in your reputation. It more just can identify responsibilities and actually, take accountability for that.
I think it more just solidifies what's going on though and what she did. It's like a big she did do this. And now that she's, having to fix it, I think that's why they don't want it to happen, is because she has to solidify this now. This is a big thing now. But also, you need to grow up here. You shouldn't be jumping in conclusions. You also shouldn't be blank copying random people to emails and stuff. That's so stupid. That's so petty. And
it sounds like she's not even focusing on her work.
She's more just trying to throw other people down, probably because of her own issues at home. So our next story will be...
So, am I the asshole for refusing to let my husband eat from my plate at the restaurant? Okay. My husband and I have totally different tastes when it comes to food. That's perfectly fine. However, lately, and whenever we go out to a restaurant, we'd both order different dishes. Then he'd suddenly ask to eat from my dish and would throw a fit if I refuse. I mean, if she doesn't want to share or eat off her plate, then that's fair. Anyway, neither here or there. He's done this several times, and I've snapped, and I told him to stop asking and order from the same dish if he wanted it so bad. Last night we went out for dinner and ordered different dishes. Before we made the order, I asked if he was sure about the dish he picked, and he said yes. Kind of have an idea where this is going. The food arrived, and each of us had our plate and started eating. Literally minutes later, he asked if he could eat from my dish. I looked at him like, are you serious right now? And he went on about how he couldn't resist the looks of the dish and really wanted to try it. I refused and said no. I kept eating and he kept pushing till I blew up and he got quiet all of a sudden. He then got up and walked out. He was furious with me and picked an argument at home when I got back. He said that I acted petty and that all he asked for was a few bites from my meal. And I chose to make a scene and yell and embarrass him instead. We're not speaking to each other right now because of what happened. I feel shitty about it, and I think that I could have just let him have some of the food instead of choosing to die on such a silly hill. Edit. We pay for our meals separately. Am I the asshole?
No. I think that, I don't know. I'm kind of a little at first I was like, okay, maybe she kind of is the asshole because, you could just share. But also knowing that they pay separately and the husband tried to turn it around on her, even though she's been asking him not to. And then he tried to turn it as to he's the victim now. It's the other way around. You got to stop doing that. If somebody's not comfortable with that, they're not comfortable with that. You're not at that stage in your relationship. I mean, you might be married, but there's some stuff you're just never going to want to do. Maybe I don't want to share straws. I mean, I'm fine with it, but you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
I don't think she's not the asshole in any way, shape or form. If anything, it seems like the husband wanted to try and cause an argument when there was not, she made sure that...
He wanted to be the victim.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And she made sure, are you sure you want to order this food? Are you really sure? Yes. then why are you asking to eat some of your partner's meal? It's their meal. Not only that, but they pay separately. They don't even pay for each other's meals. They pay separately. So my meal is mine, her meal is hers, and so and such. There's some issues there for sure. Like, but I mean, fair enough. Why do they pay separately? Not that it's not that big of an issue, but it seems a bit weird.
It's expensive, and it's better than trying to remember who paid last time. So because listen, we could go to Chick-fil-A, and that's $30, right? For, a meal for the two of us. Then we could go, the next meal we're out is Olive Garden. That's $50 for two people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's better just to pay for your own. And that's, some people do that, and that can work a lot better.
It's not to say that every couple has, they don't have to share food. They can choose to share food, whether they want to or not. It's up to their own comfort, I guess.
I don't think there should have been an argument about it.
There shouldn't have been an argument about it. If anything, he's quite petty because of that. There was no need for that argument, and there was no reason for that at all. He's just kind of throwing a fit because he didn't get his way, and then he stormed out because of that. When it's not really a big deal. He ordered his food. He should eat his food. Okay? If he wanted some of that food, go order that food. They pay separately regardless. So, they're entitled to say, no, this is my food. I'm eating this. You're not having any.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I don't think she's
nope,
she's not the
she's
asshole.
Not the asshole.
She's not the asshole.
Husband's just a little shithead who wants to be the center of attention about everything.
Yeah. Anyway, so our next story.
Am I the asshole for putting my husband's fancy knives through the dishwasher? So I, 28 female, have on occasion put my husband's 28 male dirty knives through the dishwasher, despite him asking me not to. These knives are extra sharp for cooking, and apparently the dishwasher will blunt them. I am terrified of knives to the point where if I see them on the work surfaces, I will begin to panic. My husband is aware of this. I've never used these particular knives as I know I'm not allowed to put them in the dishwasher. I can't face cleaning a knife by hand. If I have to use one, I will use one of my old knives and that I can put through the dishwasher. Now, my husband will use his fancy knives and leave them either dirty in the sink or on the worktop. These can be there for days, and just the thought of them being out terrifies me. I can't face cleaning them by hand, so I put them in the dishwasher to get them out of my sight. He is free at any point prior to the wash cycle to remove them and clean them by hand. He thinks I'm the asshole for putting them in despite him asking me not to. I think he's the asshole for leaving out dirty knives despite him being aware of my fear. We're actually a really good team and barely disagree on anything, but this seems to be an obstacle we cannot agree on. I need internet strangers to tell me who is wrong. If anyone, please and thank you. Edit to add info. Yes, I am getting therapy. I get that my behavior and fear are abnormal. I also have OCD and general anxiety that will be negatively contributing. Also, my husband isn't a dirty gremlin or anything. He's genuinely so supportive, loving, and great around the house. It's just sort of weird blind spot we both have. He does all the cooking now that we have a baby, so in fairness, I feel I should do the cleaning up. Am I the asshole?
I don't know. Because I understand her anxiety with the knives being on there, especially with them being, sharp and very fancy knives. I understand both parties.
Honestly, I don't think either are the asshole. I think this is just something you should talk about. This isn't like a who's to blame here. This is more of a this is just an obstacle you need to go through, and you need to get some, not therapy, because that's not like she's going to therapy for it, and he needs to just accept that he needs to stop leaving it out. She needs to leave it alone. Obviously, that might be hard because anxiety is it's a big thing. Same with OCD, that can carry on into the whole, the knife needs to be put away.
Yeah,
it needs to be clean.
Have a big mental toll.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's an asshole thing. Like, I will not. That's not something I could say.
I wouldn't say it's an asshole thing.
Neither could be.
I agree with the aspect of fancy knives shouldn't be in the dishwasher. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, the husband needs to understand and acknowledge that his partner doesn't like seeing those knives out. It creates and gives her anxiety and other issues as well. Which hopefully they can work through, but maybe he just needs to be more responsible, I say, after he's used those knives, and if he's making food or if he's prepping food, after he's done what he's done, or if after he's finished eating that food, go back, wash those knives. Fair enough, if they're in the sink, that's fine. Maybe not leave them on the worktops, but each to their own. But I kind of agree with you. It's not an asshole thing in any way, shape, or form in both aspects. It's
more of a marital problem that you guys need to have a huge discussion
about. I wouldn't
about.
necessarily say couples therapy, but
no, not at all. They don't need to go to therapy for that. That's just that's a normal communications thing.
Yeah.
He should be more willing to understand her problems. She should be more willing to understand his point of view, the expensive knives, We don't put any of our knives in the dishwasher for that exact reason. It's just not something you do. So no, I don't think either are the asshole, and I think that about wraps that up.
Yeah, no, it does. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Check out our social media at Always Sides. This is on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and much more. There are more audio formats available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next week for another episode.